My name's Guy Kesterman. I've been bitching about bikes as a job for over 27 years. And today, I'm up in Nidderdale to tell you about SRAM Red XPLR. What's right and what's... So let's get those first bits over with. It's an exclusive package, this. For a start, even if you managed to get away with using your old bar tape, like I did. This is a £4,000 group set. And yes, that is the price of a perfectly decent, complete bike. Probably with SRAM wireless too. Also, that rear mech needs a UDH back end on your gravel bike, which is still a pretty rare thing. Although, if you're making a gravel frame and you're about to bring it out and it hasn't got UDH, then you're pretty damn stupid. Thirdly, it is gravel bike only. Yes, everyone said, hey, Kes is going to put it on a mountain bike. And it might happen yet when SRAM aren't looking, but everything about it, from chain line to hub spacing to free hub design, bloody hell, it's windy. And even how much the derailleur can pull back to take up chain slack is all designed for gravel use. And there's going to be a bunch of other people who are going to say, well, I don't want batteries on my gears, I want cables. And that's fine, you don't have to watch this. Go and watch something else. Because not only is this group set absolutely brilliant, but all this tech is bound to trickle down through the SRAM gravel line and hopefully into some of their MTB stuff as well. So, taking it from the front, new hoods. Not generally a fan of a flatter hood, so they've got that detail on the side of the rubber there that means you have to set them up level. So I dutifully did that and did about the first 250k of the Cycling UK Welsh Marcher Casuals. Oh god, you think I'd have it right by now, I said it enough, over 3 days. Marcher Castles Way route, which will be coming out soon, complete with a video from yours truly, obviously. And to be honest, I got on with it really well. It's only right at the end I got a small blister on my hand, and I thought, right, I'll tip the hoods up and see if that makes it more comfy. And actually, immediately, it made it less comfy, so I've reluctantly gone back to flat hoods, which, to be fair, does look a lot better. But they're also slimmer, they're longer, so you get a better... Why does it always go downhill and lumpy when I start filming? Hand position, and you got those little buttons there, as well as your standard shift buttons, which, if you remember they're there, are really good. Plus, at full pull, the levers no longer pull into the tape, they actually pull outside the bar enough that they work in with these flared Explorer bars. And these, as you can see, there's a really nice sync. I mean, Sam was talking about it on the Fit video, but there's a really nice sync between the hoods and the shifter body and those bars. It's a proper nice, flat, smooth transition where you spend most of your time. The only thing I would say is I really like the sweep back on the old Explorer bars, and it doesn't seem to be as pronounced. I mean, to be fair, I've not actually measured it head to head, but it doesn't seem as pronounced as the older bars, and I kind of miss that. But apart from that, you've got the little thumb cutouts. Everything basically that Zip said would feel more comfortable does. And while I've got hands like a badger, they work better because the smaller hood volume with smaller hands as well, so hashtag more inclusive. Although Isla from Isla Bikes, who I dropped in en route to see in Ludlow, still said they've still got a long way to go to getting a proper small hand fit. But as far as I'm concerned, in terms of ergonomics, I mean, they've taken a lot of lessons from Rival, which is quite funny because obviously Red's the far end of the group set spectrum to Rival, but it's very much a positive move. And then the actual braking, because they've moved the piston position in the lever, there's a lot more leverage now, and it's operating horizontally as a push cylinder rather than vertically as a pull. I think that's right, yeah. So again, that means they can make that hood smaller and just increase the overall packaging of the lever, which is why you've got room for that little extra button up top. And as usual for SRAM AXS, you can sync it with everything else in the ecosystem, as they like to call it. So yeah, you can put an MTB gear set with it, run a dropper, set it up in loads of different ways of shifting, etc. And you've got new cutaway brake calipers as well, which dump heat better and they're a bit stiffer. So together with that extra lever pull, these are super powerful, really, really well modulated, nicely controlled. I properly cooked them over in Wales and Shropshire. I properly bronzed out the discs on them, but they never flayed, fluctuated, pumped out, nothing. And that's down some seriously steep hills with a fair old bike packing load on too. And those smaller jumps in the cassette mean you got a better cadence smoothness when you find yourself with company out on the road. And then that big 46 at the bottom end is really handy when you're done ruining roadies and you're heading off-road. Plus the shifting itself is the best of kind of the accuracy and certainty of the T-type mountain bike transmission, but with the speed of old AXS, because it doesn't have those narrow wide teeth on the cassettes, so it's not looking for a specific shift point. So you've got a better spread of gears that you can get backwards and forwards through faster but more accurately. And then you've got the power meter and crankset and chainring, which are all separate, which is a big win over Roadie Red, where power meter and chainrings are together. So once your chainrings are worn, you have to change your power meter as well. It's a super accurate, super easy to use Quark setup. Been running their gear for years with never a problem. They just sync really easily. The data is good and clean. It's self-zero. All right, thanks so much. Just make power meter life really, really easy, which I can promise you, all right, isn't the case with a lot of brands. And it runs with a range of different chainring sizes, so I'll put them in a caption because, to be honest, it's a nice sunny day and I just thought, you know what, grab the camera, give a quick run through on Red, make the most of September sun. Because if you really want the full wordy data spec sheets lowdown, I've written the best part of 2,000 words on this group for Bike Perfect, so I'll link that off my Insta. I might put a link at the end. Don't know if that even works, but anyway, that's where the words are. These are the feels, and the feels are just fantastically good and overwhelmingly fast, I would say. And as you can see, since fitting this, I've always run fairly high stack on this stick, but as soon as I got those levers flat, all those extra gears and a power meter, I had a power meter before to be fair on force, just felt like this was a group that wanted to go fast. Plus I've been borrowing these radical Zip Explorer wheels from SRAM Sam as well, which are proper rapid, but there's a lot to unpack with them, and these are actually official test samples, so I'll wait till I've got them before I do a full download and review of what I think of those. But yeah, Zip are definitely going back to their old speed weaponry tag with those super wide, super deep, I mean 32mm wide internally. That's insane, that's bigger than most enduro wheels. But anyway, yeah, more on those later. Oh, and I'll probably do a review of this Q365 kit as well very shortly, because it's kind of rapidly become my gravel go-to when sponsors aren't watching. I haven't checked the prices yet. Came in a really fancy box, and it's from Italy, so I imagine it's mega expensive, but super nice kit. But I'm not going to stick my GoPro in my crotch while I'm riding along and try and chat to you about that now. I'll do a separate, more wholesome, family-friendly video on it later. Oh, and for those double ring fans who think you can't go that fast with a 40-10 gear setup, that's over 50 kilometers an hour at 100 cadence. I reckon that's enough for most situations. And despite that big rebuildable, if you wreck it but strong enough to stand on rear mech, because the machining on the rear on the cassette, it's actually lighter than 12-speed force, and it's even lighter than Campagnolo E-car. It's only by 50 grams, but then E-car has got a horrible shift, which you access through something that feels like a particularly budget version of cheesy quavers, whereas this red group set just oozes strength and sophistication. It's got a really nice chunky aesthetic as well, which, you know, as a mountain biker I like. If you're more into your Campag sveltness, then I guess it's not for you either. But then, we've already said, it's an exclusive group set. But if it fits your bike, and if you can afford it, I have absolutely no doubt and no shame in saying, well, this is by far the best stop and go setup for your gravel bike right now. And I'm really hoping SRAM managed to shift a lot of the tech, sorry, pun not intended, but apt anyway, a lot of this tech onto their mountain bike product range. Sorry about that, ran out of trail to film on then, so I'm just going to have to finish off in my backyard. But yeah, if you want the best gravel race group set going at the moment, it's the new SRAM Red XPLR. No question about that whatsoever. I'd say if you want the best like adventure group set, I'd go for the red brakes and levers, but with a T-type mountain bike setup on the back, because then you get that 1052 cassette on the back. And there were times in Shropshire cranking up the steepest hills under load at the end of a long day when I could have done with that extra gear range. But as you'd expect, you know, red is a racer's group, and you know, those wheels as well are a proper racer's choice. But as I say, more on those later. So thanks very much to SRAM for lending me the group set for long-term test, and to SRAM Sam for fitting it. That's a separate video. We go into a lot of the tech on the group set as well. So if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that for the full tech lowdown. Like I said, there's a load of stats on the Bike Perfect review as well online. And massive thanks, as always, to my Patreon subscribers for pledging on a monthly basis, and they get early, extended and exclusive edits ad-free as a thank you. But if you've not subscribed yet or clicked for notifications, then please do that, because then you'll get updates as to when my next content comes up, including those Zip Explorer wheels. And please give this video a thumbs up like, because that really does help the algorithm, but not as much as if you tell your mates that there's an old fool rattling around the countryside shouting his mouth off about the latest bike bits. And if you've enjoyed watching this far, then hopefully they will as too. But for now, I've been Guy Kestevan, self-consciously using a super wide fisheye lens to film himself, so God knows what my head looks like in that, but still talking about the new SRAM Red XPLR, the latest in SRAM's transmission tech across gravel, MTB and road, and hopefully a sign of the way things are going to go in every direction on every surface.